Is a leader born or is it made? This is the country of opportunities. If you make them, don't hire fast. Take your time. You have to know that when you hire somebody, you don't just hire them to help you. They are an investment. I need to work. Please allow me, and I promise you that in a semester, I will be at that level.
All right, welcome everyone to Build Stuff, Be Kind, the podcast. Excited today, we have Alex Mic-Podar, CEO of Backyard Bookkeeper. Incredible founding story, runs a really great business, is actually the Honey House bookkeeping company that we use. Incredibly great at what they do, and excited for all of you to hear Alex's story. Alex and I met in September last year and basically realized that we were pretty much family from the moment we met. So I'm excited to share our journey, our story, and really hear from you all the great things that you're working on and building and doing in this world. Welcome, Alex.
Well, thank you for having me, Sean. I really think that our DNA tests are wrong because we are definitely family. I mean, look, we even look like each other. If only my hair would go a little bit gray and I could grow a beard. I mean, seriously.
Exactly. We're fam.
Yeah. Yes, we are. You know, when you just find those people and you just look at each other and you're like, where were you all my life? That's what happened with me. I saw you. I remember I walked in, I saw you, like you were tall compared to everybody and you were in the back, and I was like,
just towering over everyone.
I know him, you know?
Seriously. I love it. For real. I feel like just such a genuine, great connection and so much more fun things that we will continue to learn and grow, and just I feel like I just want to hang out all the time and learn more about you and what you're doing. So excited for the opportunity we have today.
Either you move to Utah or I'll come to Arizona. We'll figure it out, or we meet in the middle summer.
We got to do like the snowbird thing. So like the summer, I got to just come up to Utah for the summer. And then if you get sick of the snow up there at all, just come hang out down here because it's prime time in AZ right now. Yeah. So it's great.
Okay.
Well, awesome. I want to. You are the CEO of Backyard Bookkeeper. You've built this incredible business and founder. What are some of the highlights of that journey that have gotten you to where the company is today and where you are personally today?
Highlights. Me and my business partner started it in 2008. We had no idea what we were going to do or what does it really mean to run a business. And let me be clear about something. I feel like I've been an entrepreneur since I was a child. I always like to tell this story to people. I don't know if you remember or not, but probably your listeners will remember those phone cards, that you plugged, like you had coins for street phones. And then eventually we had these phone cards that had like a chip in it. Yeah. Well, in my first grade, I noticed that that it's a trend and kids are collecting them and they're exchanging them. And that's how I made money as a child. And I always had breakfast. I didn't grow up rich in a rich family. We moved from Romania to Hungary. Anyway, so that's when my entrepreneur life has started. But I never had employees. So I feel like you're not really a business owner till you hire your first employee.
Totally.
Because suddenly when you hire your first employee, you become an employee and an employer. You're an employee because you're working for that person, right? You have to
Totally.
get out there and you have to sell to make sure that they have a job. And then you are an employer because you have to keep them accountable. So sometimes that's a conflict of interest, right? Because they
Yeah.
become your family, they become part of your
Totally.
organization. So that was the first thing. That was the hardest thing, probably, is figuring out who are the right people for the job. And we're talking about a bookkeeping business, and we really only do bookkeeping. That's what we've been doing for 16 years. And if you look in the industry, very rarely will you find a company like ours that only does bookkeeping. We do not do any other services. We stick to what we're good at. Any other accounting company might have bookkeeping, but it's on the side. And they focus on other services. We only focus on bookkeeping with Backyard Bookkeeper. It's to figure out how to basically take my business partner's brain and mold it in such a way that it can be replicated and shared with the rest of our team. That was a challenge in itself, and that's what really made Backyard Bookkeeper successful, is being able to replicate our systems in such a way that we were able to teach it to other people to do it within the company.
I love that. Creating systems, I feel like is you touch on kind of the different stages of like starting, having that first hire. I feel like once you get to that stage of building a process is where you can really start to grow and scale the business.
Yeah. I often say this: you're really not a business owner till you hire somebody and you figure out how to have somebody else do what you do.
Totally. What have you guys done in developing that process or vetting those employees that you feel was really game changer for the business?
I'm gonna laugh because it is really it's a process for sure. Our first hire was a bust, like a real bust. It's totally not her fault. She was perfect, but we had no idea what we were doing, right? So she showed up at the interview. She was beautifully dressed. She had a great cover letter. She had a great presence. So we just hired her. And then when we actually started giving her work, she was typing like this. So there is one thing that we learned is, in our profession, we need a typing skill. We need to test the skill. And so as my business partner was growing in knowledge about bookkeeping and accounting, I researched and talked to a lot of people about what are the best hiring processes. And there is a lot of disagreement, like, Gary Vee, who's one of my favorites of all time, keeps saying, like, hire fast, but learn to fire fast. That's the one thing where I disagree with him, is that don't hire fast. Take your time. You have to know that when you hire somebody, you don't just hire them to help you. They are an investment, and if you can't multiply their effort in your company, they're not going to grow. And you also have to, watch out for their talents, because you might be hiring them for an executive assistant, but really they want to be a bookkeeper. And then you think they might want to be a bookkeeper, but they really want to be payroll specialists. So, like, you have to watch how they develop after you hire them and where will they fit perfectly in your company.
Yeah.
So for me, is the hiring process even today is we have at least 3 to 4, sometimes 5 interviews. And I don't
Mm.
care about all these smart people who are like, no, you should only have one interview. And what I figured out is my job is to have a feel for their personalities. Well, there is a different
Yeah.
personality in front of the computer, in front of a camera, and there is a
Mm.
completely different personality when you take them out to lunch and you have a
Mm.
conversation with them. you know
Totally.
um, more more relaxed you can make them, more you will see the real them, and more you
Yeah.
will see what they really are looking for. So same way they are looking for something, and you're looking for something, you need to be clear from the very beginning and understand who wants what.
Yeah. I love that. What are some of the like core values that help you in making those decisions for new hires or growing the business in certain ways? Are there core values that, whether they're written and displayed, or more just kind of internal things that guide your decision making um, in your process?
Bookkeeping is boring. Well, it could be boring. At least
Hmm.
that's what I think. I do have a certificate in accounting, and I know that it's not for me, right? For me, it's business building.
Yeah.
But that's because I have had so many jobs. I pretty much have been working since I was 14 full time.
Hmm.
And because I had so many jobs, it is my priority to make sure that the people don't get bored and that they find some
Hmm.
kind of satisfaction. So our number one rule is we have a cover letter, and in the cover letter, again, old fashioned. Some people are like, cover letters are stupid. Totally get it. If it's not for you, don't use it. For us, it's important. For me, it's for two
Hmm.
reasons. When we hire, I often put like an Easter egg or a golden egg on the
Hmm.
website, and I ask about it on the cover letter. And I know
Hmm.
exactly from the first sentence if they actually went to the website and they found the Easter egg or didn't, right? And so if they did find it, that means they really are interested in the job. The second most important thing is, do they love the job? So when we
Hmm.
interview them, if somebody says something like, so why do you like bookkeeping? And they say, oh, because it's organizing. I do it for myself. I love spreadsheets. I love this. It's completely different than when somebody says, I love it because I find it challengeful to find that missing penny. And it
Hmm.
drives me nuts when I don't find it and I can't reconcile the bank account. Then you know
Yeah.
that they're going to find something interesting in that boring data entry.
Totally.
And that those
Yep.
those are usually our best and our fastest growing employees. They usually become senior bookkeepers within months.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's such an important part of your process and part of any business process, really like putting people in the right seats and finding, when you like, that's exactly what you want in a bookkeeper, that they can like find the story in it. If it's just,
Yeah.
you know, input, output, it's, over time they're going to get burnt out. But if it's like they're searching they're trying to really balance that out and make it a process that they enjoy, I think that's such a empowering thing. Let's shift
Yep.
to
Well, and then
you
they don't
as
get bored. So they don't get bored. So then they won't leave you, hopefully, for a couple of years. So,
no doubt. And that, yeah, turnover and just creating a good atmosphere where people feel challenged, but in the right ways, and feel like they can grow and learn and obtain a skill is
yep.
so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, let's shift gears a little more into you as founder, CEO. Your personal journey, I know, is incredibly compelling, coming from Eastern Europe and making your way to Utah, and 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 all the things that have contributed to making Alex. What is what is that thing that really drives you? The 8-year-old or 6-year old that was slinging phone cards to now. What is that thing that really you feel like motivates you, drives you uh, to do what you do?
Making money, man. If that's not what's driving you, I'm just joking. It is true. You have to acknowledge it, that it is making money, right?
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
grew up,
Well, for sure.
I I have a hard time saying that I grew up in poverty, because my poverty compared to like third world countries is nothing, right? But the truth is, my family didn't. We moved after the revolution in Romania. We moved to Hungary, and no, my parents could not afford my books. No, my parents could not afford my school supplies, you know. So I
Mm,
had to find a way to come on, to pay for breakfast at school. That was impossible. So I had to find a way. I was
mm,
a very aware child. I knew that I I love my parents, but their job was to give me life. Now I'm here. What am I gonna do about it, right? So,
no doubt. Yeah.
and and I didn't want. I mean, yes, a parent's job is to take care of their children, right? You're a
Mm,
parent. You're a dad. Your purpose in
yep.
life is, you're gonna get old and you eventually you're gonna die, but you want to see them
Mm,
having a future, right? My
yeah.
parents didn't have what we have today. They didn't have the opportunity for schooling and stuff like that.
Mm,
So I was a very old child per se. I got it. I
yeah.
got it that I need to survive by myself. And so
Mm,
that's what was driving me. And it's a long story, but um, I don't know. You could say I always knew that maybe I was born on the wrong continent. Though I love Eastern Europe, but I remember like walking around in Hungary on the streets and pretending like I was speaking English. It was not my goal to come to America. Like it was
yeah.
not even it was it's for a child like me, that those are you can't even dream about it, you know. And especially immigrating to America is not an easy path. It's almost
Totally.
impossible to immigrate to America, right?
Yeah.
But somehow there was something in me that just told me, like, as I said, I didn't speak English. I was speaking gibberish, but I pretended it was English, you know. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, in 2003 I served the mission um, for my church, and after my mission my mom died. That was very, very hard. She
Mm,
was my everything. She was a survivor herself, and it was a
yeah.
very sudden death. We had no
Mm,
idea that she was sick. um, and I was lost. I was a lost puppy. I didn't feel, because of my mission, I didn't feel at home anymore.
yeah.
And I had a friend who said, "Hey, there is this opportunity," because I told you I work since I was 14. I dropped out of high school so I can
Mm,
make a living and to be able to save up money and go on a mission. And so I came back and I had no place, like literally the 2 suitcases that I was carrying from city to city in my mission.
jeez.
That was it. That's all I had.
Yeah.
In fact, I finished my mission.
Mm,
They release you from your mission. A mission president releases you from your mission, and they're like, "Okay, now go." And I actually didn't know where to go.
wow.
So a friend of mine who I made friends in my mission said, "Hey, I found this school in Provo. If we all put together the money for your first semester, would you want to come? And then there is this test called GED. You can just come and take it, and then you can go get a college degree. And I was like, well, I could stay in Hungary and go back and get my high school diploma, which would be 4 years. I would be 27 and still only have a high school diploma, or I could come to America for a semester, pass the GED and go to college. And I said, okay. So I borrowed $50 from a friend. That's all I had. I was like, I just need some food in the airport. I had another friend who bought me my plane ticket with his points.
Wow.
And my first semester was put together by some friends, and my rent for a couple of months was paid by my roommate. So here I was, and
Wow.
I needed a job. I walked into the office. They asked me, because when you come and you learn English to be able to work on campus, they put you in levels. And if you're a certain level, then they let you work on campus. If you don't, then they don't. And I was not on that level. But I was clear, and I stood in front of them, and in my broken English, I told them, I need to work. Please allow me. And I promise you that in a semester, I will be at that level. And that's what happened. They took a chance on me and let me work. And then I slowly had money for rent. That's my story. Maybe this is a longer answer that you wanted, but that's the story.
No, that's perfect. I love it. I mean, it's just such an inspiring story and process. And I think something that so many can connect with, of just like, to me, the biggest thing is just like you creating a reality, creating a vision, even from a young age. Like, you're going to figure it out. You're going to push through. You're going to make it happen. Even getting here, you got all the way here, and it's like, man, you don't get that job, then what? And it's like, you show up and hey, I need this job. You better hire me. And then they did. And then I think that's such a, like, that resiliency, that like strength. Have you ever thought about like where that comes from, where that strength to just persevere and push through, like?
100% my mother. She was that way. Yeah.
I love that.
Unfortunately, I don't know much about her younger life, but she was the kind of person who, I'm hearing stories from my aunts and uncles that she was, during communism, you couldn't, there were barely bread was like, fancy schmancy food. But yet she always had it. She always figured it out. Like, I remember once we had to renew our visa in Hungary, and for that we had to go back to Romania, and there was this huge line from a consulate. It was like up the stairs and up the stairs and out on the street, and we were like at the end of the line, and my mom stood in line for like 5 minutes, and she said, enough. And she just, like, she was tiny, and she just somehow got herself up to the thing. And 5 minutes later, I just hear my name yelling from the top of the stairs, Mic-Podar Alex, come on in, where are you? I have no idea what she did. I think she probably promised chocolates and stuff to the guy. I have no idea, but
oh my gosh,
we cut the line. So I learned it. I learned it from her. Yeah.
That's
Look,
so
Sean,
cool.
I think the difference is between me and others is that I never had options. Like, I know that's weird.
Totally.
Like, I have no idea what I would have been if I had options, I never had options. My only option was to work and push through. So even now, if something bad is happening in the business and we're down in the dunch, because you have up and downs, and not just in this business, in my life, what happens is people usually tend to panic when something is bad. That's when, excuse my expression, my butt gets burned and I need to go to work. It's like it's a lit fire under my butt and I need to go to work. And if a window is closed, that's great. Close your window because I have a hammer. I'll find another hole where I can come in. When you don't have options, and I know this is harsh, but when you put your head to something and you're not giving yourself the option of getting out of it, you can do whatever you want. And don't listen to the little voices in your head or your surroundings. If you're surrounded with people who constantly tell you that you're nothing, you have two options. One, listen to those voices and believe it, or two, prove them wrong, baby. That's me. That's me. Everybody pitied me as a child because of my circumstances, and I told them, it's not appropriate, but I did say stuff.
I love it. Do you, do you think, how do I want to phrase this question? It's my belief that you did have options. However, I also believe you created that there were no options. You even said something in there where you're like, if there's no option, like I created that this is my path. Talk to me about like creating, or have you ever thought about it in that way, that like clearly so many things were stacked against and the only option was like, I gotta go up. But many other people would look at the negative or find that like there's always options, but you have chosen time and time again that like my only option is to grow, to put my hand or my butt to the fire and say, onward, let's move forward. Have you ever thought about it in that sense of like, Alex is creating, there are no other options other than what's going to move me forward?
I think I know what you mean by I had other options. Yes,
I'm not downplaying
I get
the challenge.
No.
But that like you chose like, I'm like, because you could have gone to drug, the whole dark path, right? Of no option but down. You chose no option but up, right?
Oh yeah. They often ask, this question, is a leader born or is it made? And I don't think I was born as a leader, but I was made because of my circumstances. And yet, yes, if you look at options as options, yes, I had options, but I think there is a way stronger word that we don't use that much, and that is the freedom of choice. And then your options really don't matter, right? Because totally. You look through these lenses of like, okay, I have the option of sitting back and relaxing, or totally. I have the option of keep going. But I think my freedom of choice was very clear from the very beginning, right? As I said, a parent's job is to take care of their children. A parent's job should not allow their children at age 10 to go and work to make money. But I didn't give that option to my parents. I went out, I found my job, I came back and said, hey, so and so told me that if I paint their fence, they're going to pay me this much money. You know, I'm going to give you this much, the rest is mine. Can I go? You know, so
Yeah.
yes, you are absolutely right. The options, we create them. But I think the freedom of choice is what comes with you from your upbringing and the people who surrounded for you. And my mom was a huge influence on me, but faith in God was 100% my grandma. And I loved my grandma and my grandparents. So I wanted,
That's
if
cool.
I wanted somebody to be proud of me, it was my grandparents, and my grandparents equaled God. You know, as a child, I often played that I was hiding from God, and then I realized I can't really, like, I played that in my head. I was hiding under the terrace. I was hiding under, a tree. I was hiding whatever. And I always realized, oh, wait, he sees me, right? So I think that was so embedded on me. And that's where the freedom of choice and always choosing the right made sense to me. Like always, choosing what brings you forward, not what stops you in the
Totally.
path.
I love that. I feel like from the first minute that I met you, I could tell that you were a no nonsense, no bull crap kind of person, and that you create your luck. There's that concept of like I create my own luck, right? And I think that is, you are a person who creates everywhere you show up. You create in your business, you create in the interactions you have with people, you create in the relationships that you build. Like, you create what is the outcome that is most impactful and meaningful, and how can we push this forward. And that's something that, like, in 60 seconds of meeting you in Utah at a bar downtown at a VFriends
Event.
meetup side quest, I think it's just speaks to, when you show up, and I can confidently say, like, if you said you were going to do something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is a great trait to have in the CEO of a bookkeeping company as well.
Yeah. My word is everything to me. And I would I say I'm a people pleaser? Yes, but not in the negative way. I'm a people pleaser in the sense of, like, man, I want you to trust me. And if I say it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not happening, then something very big must have happened that it didn't happen, But even then, I will acknowledge it, and I will apologize, and I will try to make up for it, right? More than anything, I mean, you just said, I create, right? But what is the point of life if not creating, right? What's the point of marriage if not to have children, or to adopt, or to, I don't know, create jobs for others, or in some way create your existence? You're just, you're just
meaning.
put here you're just put here in this life. But if you don't create something, even money, for goodness sake, even money, if you don't create, you're nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I love creating, and most of all, I love connecting with people and then sharing my story and say, if you'd only know where I came from,
Totally.
And so when people say stuff like, I can't do this, or I don't have these options, or I sometimes I come out as an arrogant be our chair, to be honest, because I say that's bullshit. I tell them to their
Yeah.
face, that's bullshit. And especially in America, like I I see homeless men sometimes on the street, and I literally want to go and shake them and say, man, if for nothing else, save some money for a couple of days, figure out a way to get some money, go get yourself a passport and go move and be homeless for a couple of days in another country, but you speak English and start teaching people English. You don't even have to do anything. There are people out there who would love to teach you to learn English. Just get on the plane, save up for a
Yeah.
passport and a plane ticket to, I don't know, the Philippines or somewhere else, to India,
Totally.
and go teach English. And I promise you won't be homeless anymore. Like, just, this is the country of opportunities if you make them.
Yeah. I think that's 100%. There's opportunity to be created and to be discovered and to be, mapped towards, and so much opportunity. Talking more about the connections you form, you have built this business in a lot of ways through the relationships you develop through events, through conferences, through networking, through just your online presence, through just your persona. What is your approach when forming meaningful connections that you feel like works, that you feel like it is what, one, drives you to create those connections, and two, helps convert those connections into business and into opportunities or partnerships, or just genuine connections for you?
It's a very deep question. If I meet you, I'll remember you. And I will remember, I might not remember your name. Recently, I realized that's because you probably have an English name and not a Hungarian name. So that's why I won't remember your name. But I will remember our conversation word by word. And it only takes a moment for me to realize that you have a need. And once you have a need, somehow my brain just clicks in, and I see a path of how to solve that need. So when I go networking, I don't go to find an interest or find people that will, and I know this might sound very, I don't know. I really don't go networking to find clients. I don't go networking to make friends, to be honest. I don't have an interest. I go to get to know people and see how I can serve. And once I serve, I am in, and those people will remember. And when
Totally.
they have the need of my business, guess what? They will contact me.
They're calling
or
you.
they will or they will contact my business partner or something. But for a lot of people, it's me who is the driving, even though it's my bookkeepers who, without, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, or my business partner. But because they know that fact, that I keep my word, they know to trust, and they know to bring their business to me, right? But I think that's what drives me, is like, how can I be of service? Yes, at the very beginning of our business, I did go networking to figure out the way to bring in clients. And that's when I realized you don't get clients out of networking. You really don't.
Yeah.
I just want to serve. And if you tell me what you need, I'm going to make it happen if I can.
Yeah.
Or I will connect you to somebody, or,
Totally.
Yeah,
I think that's I think such a powerful trait that you have, and that is really the right approach to networking or relationship building. Is all about value and creating that value for someone else, and the kind of the law of reciprocity that over time, those people will become clients or potential, partners, or create, opportunities. Like, it's all about, when we can win together, we all can level up, and we can all like continue to support each other and build and grow, when it's me versus you, and what can I get out of you today? You may convert on some of those interactions, but it's like, you got to do that over and over again. You got to start from zero every day. But when you come at that abundance and that, like, hey, where can I create value? It's an infinite game. It's always going to compound, over time.
So you said I can ask questions. What is it for you?
What is it for me?
Because you're the same way. You're the same kind of person. You go to networking events to get to know people, right?
Yeah. I think one, I think I get a high from just the vibes, the energy, the vibrations, the frequency that people are on. Like there's nothing more just exciting to me than like Silicon Slope Summit where we met, or South by Southwest that's coming up in a week or two, or it's just there's something about, like, one of my favorite places to visit is New York. Like, I love,
oh, me too. I'm going in 2-3 months. I can't wait.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's honestly the best. I try to go every year. My birthday's in November. We try to go every year, and there's just something about the energy. Like, I've been to many other cities, nothing compares to New York, and there's just a like frequency in the air that you're like, I'm getting chilled even talking about, or you're just like, there's energy, plus there's great food and great fun things to do, but it's so different than any other city in that, like, there's just a frequency there that for whatever reason, my wavelength is tuned into that frequency.
Yeah, it's exactly the same way with me. I've been 3 times now, and twice I went to events. And well, let me just start with the fact that I grew up in Budapest, and Budapest has that vibe on a smaller scale, but it has that vibe.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's the lights, and I always told Julie, I said, hey, if I ever get an opportunity to work in New York, I'm jumping ship. I don't care. I'm jumping ship. I can still be the CEO of Backyard Bookkeeper, but
that's right. Call up our boy Gary. Just call.
Well, you call him. You know him. He needs to. He needs to know that his sister from another mother is right here. I probably swear way more than he does. I just didn't want to swear on your podcast.
Yeah, it's all good.
Do you know why I love Gary Vee? Can we just talk about him a little bit? I'll tell you, from all of the motivationals, and I've read, what's his name? Tony Robbins, all of these motivational speakers. If you look, one thing that drives our business to be so successful is that I watch the trends. I watch the new gadgets coming out. I watch the new softwares. I'm always aware of what's happening, right? and the same thing, I watch people and I see how they change. And here's the thing, all of these motivational speakers, all of them, except one, has changed. Gary Vee is the same person that was 25 years ago. It's the same story that he says over and over and over. And he's the only one who says, forget about the law of attraction, go make it. You know, he doesn't say that the law of attraction doesn't exist. He just says, he's a hustler just like me.
Yeah.
Guess what? He's an immigrant just like me.
Totally.
You know, and he doesn't bullshit. He tells it to your face, and that's what I aspire to be. I'm like, even if you hate me, I'm gonna tell it to how it is to your face. You know.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a little bit more complicated to do the same thing with your employees because you do need them to work for you for a long time. But out of the office,
sure. Yeah.
But do you see what I'm saying? Have you noticed that?
Oh, totally.
He would never do this bait and switch tactics of, hey, I'm going to have a free conference, come to my free conference, but then I'm going to try to sell you thousands of dollars of things. He's just, he's rather spend his time going and garage, what is it called? Garage shopping.
Garage selling.
Yeah, garage selling than to do one of those conferences. Like that's what I like about him. Like, you need to make that meeting happen.
I'm going to make it's going to happen. Come to South by and it'll happen.
Okay.
So, man, I think so many ways we can go from here, but I think the resounding, like, knowing who you are, knowing where you're trying to get to, knowing that, like, there is no other option than what's going to push me forward and what's going to create more value, what's going to be valuable for someone else. And I think that's such a powerful way of being and showing up in the world and being your word. Like, that's something that I am very inspired by and not the best at, is being my word in being overly optimistic of things that I can do or can't do, or and I think being able to be clear with your word and create the vision and manifest or whatever you want to call it, but be committed to accomplishing the things that we set out to accomplish. And I think that's huge. We ask, you have.
I just wanted to say that our biggest enemy is our brain. Our biggest motivation is also our brain, right? Or our biggest push is also our brain, or our success is our brain. But the reason why our brain is the biggest enemy is because we often just take the time to keep thinking, and then we have thinking about thinking and then thinking and thinking. Yeah. And so sometimes we just don't do it. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I push.
That's a good point.
I do things and then I think about them. But first I do them. You know? Totally. And speaking of, you just said that, you know, for you it's hard because you sometimes you take your time to think about what you can and cannot do. I think this is why we had to meet.
Yeah.
Is so I can be behind you and push you along.
Yeah. No.
And bug you and like, get your butt out there.
That's right. No, for real. It is. It's that commitment to what you're going to accomplish, what you're going to do, what you're going to create in the world. And I think it's all about being clear on what those goals are and where you're trying to get to. I think that's,
Yeah.
and I love that you said, like, it's making a decision and then thinking, because I'm, I am definitely an overthinker at times, and then other times I'm a knee jerk reaction and then think, and I think it's I've realized that it's commit to something and then the rest will sort itself out. Like,
Oh yeah.
when we overthink and overplan and, okay, I do all these steps versus like, I'm committed to making this happen. Whatever decision I have to make along the way will present itself, and I'll choose A or B, and then keep going towards that commitment.
Yep. Make a commitment and then let it happen. Yep.
Yeah.
It
no
will
doubt.
provide. The universe always will provide.
Yeah, that's true. So there's one final question we ask all guests on the show. It's kind of the theme of the podcast. What role has kindness played in building your success, Alex?
Serving, giving second chances, third chances, fourth chances, but always knowing that there is everything for a purpose. And I'm not talking religious purpose. I'm not talking, it's just, I truly believe that you can phrase it however you want it. We live in a matrix or whatever, but we're building it. We're creating it, right? And so if you look at that, if you look at life that way, then you know that the same way I'm trying to create something and I'm trying to hustle this life, that person who just stepped on my toes and is hurting me is doing the same thing. People not against you, they're for themselves. And then you can really just serve them, you know, same way you are for yourself, they're for themselves. So just keep serving, keep focusing on building your own life, and then you can be kind, because you don't take things personally. They're not against you, they're just for themselves.
Yeah, I love that. Such good perspective. Well, thank
Guess
you,
what?
Alex.
I didn't mean to dress like your logo behind you, but I just realized I have the exact same colors.
Oh my gosh, you do. You planned that. No, that's so funny.
No, I didn't know your logo.
I know, that's so good.
But by the way,
that's so awesome.
This is not advertisement. I won't tell you what shirt this is. You can find it for yourself. But it says, "Welcome to the real world. It sucks. You are going to love it."
So good. Love it.
Yeah. Sean, thank you. You really,
thank you.
Like, seriously, like I met a lot of people, and I don't know, the way we connected is like, I think if there is such a thing as previous life, then
no doubt.
Somehow you kicked me out and you're like, go check out the world and then tell me if I should come later.
No doubt. I feel that.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Well,
me too.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that I have gotten so much value out of this conversation. I'm sure everyone tuning in will as well. Follow Alex on LinkedIn. She's always putting out great content there. And if you get the chance, meet her in person, because it's just a whole nother level of that Alex energy. And she might even show up in a costume. You never know. So
Yeah. Well, you're inviting me to a conference. Are you sure?
That's right. That's true. We don't know what form she's going to show up as. Totally.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Sean.
Well, thank you so much.
It was a privilege and
a pleasure.
I'm humbled.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.